Can you volunteer? So the idea is that if I became single in the fall of '09, and I decided that I was going to meet the love of my life. But I realized when you're in your late 50s and you want to start dating, you just have to have a plan. You just cannot have no plan. You have to have a plan. So it doesn't have to be a great plan. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. It doesn't even have to be a good plan. It does not even have to be a plan that will work. But you have to have a plan. So I said, I'm going to have a plan. My plan is I'm going to first set my target audience and then have a process to run the audience through and then close. I was a salesman, so I had done this. You filter the entire world of possible candidates to buy your product, and you say, well, some could, and some should, and some might, and then you sell them, and then at the end you have a close. So that was my idea. So I said my target audience should be women. I'm not passing judgment. I'm just saying that's what I wanted. And I also said that's right. It's half. But I will not waste any time on the part I don't want. I also said they always had to be women. So not that there's nothing wrong with that, but I just wanted them to always have been women. And the age thing. So you may have heard the story that you should take your age and divide it by 2 and add 7, and that's the floor. You never go below the floor. So, if you're 30, take half that, and that'd be 22. You would not want to date anybody younger than 22 if you're 30. And you think about that. Someone who's 22 still has the I'm a princess and everything should be about me. By the time you're 28, you realize that you're not. Probably. Anyway, if you're 60, the age would be 37. So I was 58, so that would make 36 about the right age. So I said, no. 36, that's it. That's the bottom. Unless they were particularly I was willing to make an exception 2 or 3 times. But it turns out it was a 10-month journey that I went on, and a journey of self-discovery. So half your age. So the reason that's important, the reason I tell that part of the story is so you have to use the tools that are available to you. So you use some people would use Match.com or eBay, not eBay. eHarmony, right? But eHarmony and Match. They let a computer system match up the lies you told about what you wanted with the lies somebody told about who they were. So that's not really a good way. I decided to use OkCupid and Craigslist and
Amazon.com, no?
Plenty of Fish. Is anybody here single, first of all? Okay, so anybody here still dating? Married or not? No. So Plenty of Fish is a great website. It's free to join and easy to use. And you put pictures there and tell the story about who you are. You write a little paragraph. And then you can pick people and you can see who's looking at your picture. So one morning I was looking at some pictures, and I said, well, that's a pretty woman, very interesting pose and all that stuff. But I said, no. I looked at her profile and said, no, too young for me. So I'm not going to date her because too young. That's the floor thing. I went over that earlier. Then I went on and looked at them. Then I got a text message or a message in the system, an email saying, well, I saw you looked at my picture, but you didn't write to me. What's up with that? I said, well, you're too young for me. And she says, well, why don't you let me be the judge of that? I said, well, okay. Was interesting. We're pretty. Okay, so let's make a date. So we made a date for a Sunday night on a 3-day weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend, Sunday night. And unfortunately, she called me to cancel. I said, I have to cancel that because we changed exchange phone numbers. I had to cancel the date after work. Sorry, I came up suddenly. I said, you have to work? She said, yes. I said, well, what kind of work do you do? I mean, it's Sunday night of a 3-day weekend. She says, oh, I didn't tell you what I do? I said, no. She says, oh, I'm a professional dominatrix. I said, okay, well, for sure we are going to go on a date. But I'm not going to hire you. So we did go on a date, and it was a burger and a beer, and it turns out she's Israeli army and a little bit mean when she wants to be. Not my cup of tea. So you got the part about. So the thing is, we went on a date. Usually, I don't go on a date first. Usually, you go on a meet and greet. So a meet and greet is where you meet for 20 minutes or half an hour, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. No more than 2 coffees or 2 wines, no more. And it does not, under any circumstances, turn into a dinner for anybody. You're gonna meet and decide to set a date. So you meet. You never waste a Friday on a first date. That's the other rule I kind of came up with. So you have some rules for like, why not? Well, the first date is, Friday is a big night. You can go out and have a great time. But that's for second and third dates. That's when you've met somebody, you had a good time. Maybe now you're saying, well, let's go do something fun, something interesting. So that means if Friday and Saturday are first dates, that means Wednesday and Thursday are first dates. So Wednesdays and Thursdays are first dates. And that means that meet and greets are Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So you have to have a plan. Like I say, this is a plan that worked for me. So, well, there are exceptions to the rule, and usually when you have an exception, it's really a bad idea. So, for example, and this is how I'll end the story, except by saying, you should have a radius under which you're willing to commute. So, if the perfect date for you lived on the other side of Baltimore. Who's from Baltimore? Yeah, so if you live along the other, you might consider dating somebody who lived an hour and a half away. You might, if it was perfect. But if it's not perfect, then you wouldn't. So Susan, the woman I ended up, I lucked out when she found me on Plenty of Fish. She set her radius to 3 miles. She's not willing to go very far for the perfect date. I also want to point out she lives on a river, so it wasn't a 3-mile circle. It was a 3-mile half circle. I was just lucky enough to be in that circle. So I'm back in Chicago visiting my sons, and I get a message from somebody who says, I saw your picture, I think we should go out. And I said, well, we live on the other side of Baltimore, but maybe, so we ended up talking on the phone for 2 hours that night after I dropped my boys back at their mom's house. Yeah, 2 hours. 2 hours the next day, and an hour on Monday, and an hour on Tuesday on the phone. I feel like I know her. So I said, I'm going off this. So I think I would like to go out with you. Mistake. Should have had me. I would like to go out with you, but this weekend I'm going away to Cape May, New Jersey to work on a rehab of an old hotel. Anyone here heard of the Chalfont Hotel? No, it's at the very end of New Jersey. It's a very 150-year-old hotel, but they get volunteers to come in to help work on it. So I said, I'm going to go, and you can sign up to go too. Now, I'm not saying we should have the same room. That's up to you. I'll let you decide. I don't really care. If you want to, you can. But we have to bring our own sheets, and because it's a rehab thing, and this basically. So I met her, and she was really hot. She was the high heel espadrilles, the high heel sandals, nylons, a blue silk dress, a push-up bra, and her hair was up, and she had the makeup on, and she looked like she was right off a magazine. Just beautiful. And she says, I'm not going with you unless you're a good kisser. So I said, well, I guess I better try out then. And she did decide to go with me. But it turns out, not everything she said. So, she started out as a 3 on the scale of 1 to 5, right? You know the scale? 3, it's a suitability. It is not a how good, it's a suitability to date me scale. 5 is wonderful, 1 is terrible. So everybody starts as a 3, and with the outfit, the appearance, and the kiss.